Guys, how's it going? It's good to be with you all. Impressed with the week that went into this. I think at the start of it, man, just like the focus that needed to be there. We talk about respect all, fear none. And, with that respect piece comes respect for the process, respect for not taking shortcuts, respect for your teammates and their desires and their wants and their goals, and respect for taking care of your body. I think all those things, really, there's a learning curve with all of that, and there's analytics we used throughout the week, and we looked at the first week to this week, and like our load and our effort was so much higher and so much stronger. I think some of that had to do with just the second week, kind of knowing what's expected. But I think the main piece of that was like, hey man, we can get better, right? We're here, we can go there, we can be this, right? Look what we can become, and I'm proud to be a part of that. I think the how we're doing it is something that's way important to me. And I think, the penalty piece, the first play of the game, I think was a penalty, I'm like biting if I had hair, I'd be pulling it out, and on the sideline trying to keep it together. We had like another penalty like a couple plays later. But, the guys are great guys, man. They got super hearts, and they are, I feel like they're all in, and we were able to play like a team. And so I'm excited that folks were able to see the stuff that we see. And so, with that, man, I'll take any questions you guys got.
Dave, when you think about coming out of that first game and the things you wanted to work on, did you feel like most of those areas got better? Like you said, the penalties, but after that first two or three, you didn't have any.
Yeah, I think, we wanted to improve the downfield throw game, and I think we did. I think, for me, it's like, I think this is a true story on that. I just feel like I mentioned that on whatever day that was, probably the day of the game, Saturday, and then Monday. And then, Gary reads that, our QB, and then Gary, I think, throughout the week is kind of trying to be perfect with things where, one of his best attributes was just getting that back foot in the ground and slinging it, and our receivers would be running underneath it. And so I think, throughout the week, we pull them aside. I go, man, they put microphones in front of me, man. I gotta say something. I'll do a better job of saying the right stuff. Don't think about that stuff, man. Just play, But I think that's an example of our kids, is that they want to do well, right? And they want to be the guy that does the right thing and improve. And so I think, to see Gary kind of relax and then continue to work on it and get better at it was way neat to see. I think defensively, there was discipline. I thought, some of the throws in the back end, the communication that goes with that. It's a multiple defense, so there's adjustments being made throughout. I thought the communication from the guys that are the starters to the guys that are the sub guys, I thought was really good, and so we got better in a lot of areas. I think the area to me where I feel the most improvement is team unit me, right? Whereas the team is the most important thing, right? And you have O in defense, or offense and defense, special teams, the units, and then you have me, right there being last. And I think some of those personal foul penalties, I think, is when you turn that thing upside down, you put me on top. And so I just think the belief in team and the value of team, I could feel that tonight.
When Gary runs the ball effectively, what does that do for the team? I mean, it seems like he kind of imposed his will kind of right down there around the goal line.
Right. Yeah, I think, the evolution of how you would defend, the offense is being presented to this point. I mean, I think, one would be, either a 4-man front or a 5-man front with man-free coverage, tight coverage. Can our receivers get off press, and can they beat man-to-man, right? And I think, the more you can get the quarterback out of the pocket, it hurts that style of play. I think the ability for the boots, as well as the design runs, right? Whenever it is safety in the post, right, man-to-man all the way across, the thought there is if we've got 6, they've got 7, right? If we got 7 in the box, they got 8. And so the quarterback becomes, the extra math right there, right, where we can even up numbers and really through leverage outnumber them. And so I think we'll see more of that when we see more of the man coverage. I think what also helps with that particular style of defense versus us is beating man coverage. We're able to do that some tonight too. And so, they'll be different as the offense gets rolled out. People will, spin the Rolodex there and see what number to call, and we just have to keep making the right calls on our end.
Dave, offense going 3 for 3 on 4th down in the first half of the game. Do you chalk that up to the offense being more confident this week?
I think that's a part of what we're trying to do is really see 3rd down as an opportunity to get to a manageable 4th down. And so like at the beginning of every drive, we'll go, hey, what's the magic number? What's the number we got to get to? And so let's say, for instance, if the number's 5, right? If we can get to a 3rd and 5, then we know we're already going to go for it on that 4th down. So it almost gives you a free play. You could run the ball. You could maybe throw something that, if they're thinking you're going to try to convert it 3rd and 5, they're thinking mesh routes and this, and you could try to throw it deeper, right? If it's a horizontal coverage. And so I think it gives us some ability to use Gary's legs, right? To be methodical with the run game, right? And then really, to be honest, not get in those situations where it's 3rd and long and you drop back pass and you got to protect versus designer blitzes and all of it. Try to get stacked in our favor.
Was that why you went for it on those 4th downs in the first half, or was it trying to build more confidence with the offense going into conference play next week?
It's probably both of those. I mean, the true answer for me would be, we want to be aggressive in that area, and we believe in our offense, and we want to be able to use our offense's strengths, which I think is going to be the offensive line, the running game, and the play action pass game. And so when you're in that style of play, it doesn't always lead to a drop back pass, getting 5 guys out, and going through progression reads. And we're working to get better at that, but that's not something we want to hang our hat on. And so the ability to go for it on 4th down is something that, like I say, tilts it in our favor. But then I think the other piece of that too would be just Gary is a dual threat guy, so his ability to run as well as throw it gives us the ability there to maximize his potential.
Dave, what's going on with Siaka Ika?
He had an off-the-field incident, and so we had to discipline him. And so anticipating Apu being back this next week.
You do?
Yes.
JT Wood said, about the 97-yard scoop and score. He said that was great, but then immediately he said, I hope someone else breaks it because that means they have more success. So what does that say about him as a player and a person?
Yeah, that's him. I'm excited for him. I think JT is one of. I know when I first got here, he'd always smiling, always talking. I didn't really know him at first, so there'd be times he'd be talking to our trainers and everything as practice, and we're thinking, man, we got to get going. After a while, I go, man, that's just JT. He just loves on everybody, right? It's just love on everyone, just a little bit less when it's football, right? Get locked in. And so I think JT's got a big heart, and I think football-wise, he's a great player, but he's a better person. I think whatever he ends up wanting to do, he's going to be real successful.
Go ahead.
Tyquan Thornton had his second 100-yard career receiving game. He's been here a while. It's the first time in 2 years he's had over 100 yards. Do you think a night like tonight was important for him to have a couple scores, have 100 yards, and be heavily involved?
I think so. I think Ty is someone that it's tough to be in his spot at times because Ty's been a guy, like you say, that's been around for a little bit, hasn't necessarily been the guy, right? But then when you're talking about stuff, you're going to talk about him because he's got the potential to do it, and so then it's the ability to manage what's real and what's not real, and sometimes that's hard. especially when it's Twitter and it's everything else and it just kind of rolls out. You can believe the stuff that ain't real. And it's not that he can't do it, he just hasn't done it, right? And so for him to really, and we've been talking quite a bit on this, is like, hey man, this is what you got, right? This is what you've done, this is what you can do, this is what your ability says, your potential is, man, let's go get it. But how you do it is as in the process, And so today was a great example of that. I'm really proud of him.
Dave, I was asked JT about this, but with the touchdowns that he scored the last 2 weeks and what your defense scored last year, are you trying to get this designed to where your defense has the opportunity to score on I don't want to say consistent basis, but it has the opportunity to score multiple times in a given season?
Well, anytime they score, we'll take it. I think like defensively, we've got a fair amount of playmakers and guys that have swagger about them. Right, you walk in a room, they can own the room. Defensively, we have that, and I think I think the scoring touchdowns and everything is going to be, and the takeaways is going to be something that kind of comes just with that personality, right? I think the real challenge is going to be getting all of those guys to play as a unit and to say, hey man, it's team first. It's team over unit. It's team over unit me, just because just the way they're built, man. And so I think that's happening, and I think the ability for all those guys to play together and communicate together, I think is going to, in turn, bring more of the scoring opportunities, because guys are going to be in the right spot, guys are going to be doing what they're supposed to be doing, guys are going to be leaving a technique or leaving a call to try to do this or do that and do stuff on their own. And so I thought we saw that tonight. I was really, really proud of them. It's very difficult. I think no one says when you're up by however many points, no one says, hey man, I'm good, we're good, we won this game. No one says that. But what they'll do is, right, in the game, they'll start looking up in the crowd a little bit more, maybe looking for parents, looking for friends. They'll maybe not focus on the play, right, because we're up by however much, right, or maybe they're putting a governor on some of their energy. I just didn't feel that tonight. So it was way cool. I think the goal line stand, a couple of those other shots, guys were competing.
Anything else?
You had 3 guys over 100 yards tonight rushing. They made some big plays, but how big is a role did the offensive line play in that tonight?
Huge, yeah, huge. I think really anytime it's individual, I try to be where the O-line is at. I got a lot of respect for Eric. I've known him for a long time, Eric Mateos. I think he's one of the best teachers on our staff. I think he's made great connections with our guys. He went through fall camp, went through hero, hardship, and highlight with all of them, and just really spent time getting to know who the person was and their motivators and their fears and all of it. And so all of that's real, man. They can be real with him, and he can be real with them. And so it's, communication is a whole lot easier when you're real, And so I think their ability to kind of work together to a common goal is way strong. And they're really pushing the team right now. I'm proud of them.
Dave, in your pregame conversation with Commissioner Bowlesby, can you give us an insight into any of that?
Yeah, I was just happy to see him. I think I've the times that I think I met him during when Baylor was, or whatever it was, the trial and all of it. So a lot of times I met him, it's been not cool things, So it was cool, man, to meet him before game and stuff, So it was pretty cool. I think he's a good dude. I just enjoyed visiting with him, asking about his family.
Anything else for Coach?
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.